I recently read a little manga called Mission Yozakura Family, and to say the very least, I really liked it. If you've been watching my videos for a while or just take a look at my channel, you'd know that one thing I love doing with manga I really like is taking a closer look at their power systems and coming to understand them on a deeper level. While I did really enjoy the story of Yozakura Family, the main thing that kept me invested were the characters, mainly the main Yozakura family. Not only is the entire family filled with fun and interesting characters, but their abilities are absolutely insane. My mechanical analysis brain was going haywire trying to absorb and break down each of their abilities, which has me extremely excited to be making this video. Today we will be taking a look at the Yozakura siblings plus Alpha and Hifumi, since they're technically Yozakura siblings, and going over all of their abilities. Before we get started, it'd be great if you like the video for the algorithm and subscribe for future content here on the channel. In order to explain the Yozakura family, I first need to go over the family's internalized power system. Usually this would be its own video, but since it pretty much only affects the Yozakura family themselves, it's simple and condensed enough to where I feel comfortable explaining it here. The one trait that makes the Yozakura family so special is the protein that runs through their blood called Someinine. Someinine is produced in the heart of the current family head. In fact, every family head's heart is so rich in Someinine that it's practically just a crystallized lump of the stuff. This Someinine is then spread to the children of the family and is what gives them their enhanced capabilities. What Someinine does at a base level is increase the rate and threshold of the body's cell division, which in turn enhances the senses and physical capabilities of those who possess it. It also augments natural healing capabilities, metabolism, and energy consumption. When someone first awakens to the Someinine in their blood, their body can't handle the sudden enhancements of their strength and senses, which causes it to go on a rampage. However, this isn't an issue after they get used to it. The way that Someinine enhances the body is not equal in all cases. Some will be more physically capable than others, some will have their senses heightened more, or some will just get an all-around boost to everything. It depends on the person. Someinine also gives the Yozakura family access to a power called blooming. A blooming is awakened when the Someinine running through the body stimulates every cell at once, and when activated, the user's eye takes the shape of a cherry blossom. Another important factor in awakening a blooming is to be around those who already have one, since people who have already achieved blooming secrete Someinine vapors that help them resonate and awaken to their own. Blooming abilities are completely and totally unique. Instead of just giving a general boost in power, they all strengthen certain traits and skills depending on the already established specialized abilities of the user. Blooming itself has a second level of mastery, or more like an ultimate or completed form called True Spring Blooming. In order to achieve this form, one must master the opposite or complementary side to their regular blooming. That'll make more sense as we get further into the video. A True Spring Blooming turns the hair and clothes of the user pure white. These abilities are ridiculously powerful, so it's only right that they have a drawback. When in True Spring Blooming, markings called the Yozakura leaf veins appear on the body of the user. The longer one stays in True Spring Blooming, the more these veins will spread, and once they cover the entire body, the user will die. Again, we'll be getting more into the specifics as we move through the video, so now that we've covered the basics, let's begin. Kyoichiro Yozakura, Gold Rank Spy, Resident Creep, the oldest sibling, and strongest of them all. Just point blank period. He's introduced as an untouchable powerhouse and stays that way for the entire manga. I won't be saying this a lot through the video unless there are any exceptions or variations depending on the character, but Kyoichiro does possess both superhuman senses and physical capabilities, not only due to his training as a spy but also due to the Someinine in his blood. Kyoichiro's main weapon is called the Steel Spider, a pair of gloves made out of incredibly strong steel threads that give him an unmatched level of versatility when fighting, being effective from both close and long range. From offensive capabilities to defensive and even restrictive, Steel Spider and Kyoichiro have it all. Some notable Steel Spider techniques are Calm Storm, a circle made out of extremely condensed threads that release an extremely powerful shockwave capable of decimating anything in its path. And my personal favorite out of his basic techniques, Arachne Goddess's Web. This is a near impenetrable barrier made out of hundreds of threads. It can block not only physical attacks but also sound and scent based attacks. Kyoichiro's blooming is called Void, and dear god is it powerful. By soaking his steel spider threads in his Someinine blood, they become able to grow infinitely. Anything caught and absorbed into the void will be cut and shred until it just doesn't exist anymore. Post time skip, Kyoichiro has a technique called Naraku. This technique is a snake made out of threads and has void infused into its mouth. Same as base void, anything caught in Naraku's mouth will be torn apart completely. This even includes energy itself. Kyoichiro's true spring blooming is called Life. Instead of using his threads to destroy, he weaves them together to create. This technique is able to completely bring somebody back from the dead by reaching into the void and dragging their soul back from it, as well as repairing the body entirely. Given how powerful this ability is, it is a single-use technique, as using it more than once would kill Kyoichiro. Futaba Yozakura, also a gold rank spy and the second oldest sibling. Despite being tiny, Futaba is the most physically capable of them all, being ridiculously strong. On top of her physical prowess, she is also an expert martial artist, being trained in both Jujutsu and Aikido, as well as having abnormal reaction speed. Futaba specializes in controlling different forces and wind with her Aiki or redirection energy. Aiki allows Futaba to control and redirect forces or wind and turn it into a different source of power. Its uses are incredibly versatile, seeing as a large majority of Futaba's techniques stem from it. Benevolent Kings is a technique where Futaba creates multiple large fists made of wind. These fists will go on to mimic her own actions. This gives her an extreme amount of range. Tamamao Seaweed is an air barrier around Futaba that deflects all attacks. Futaba Dojo is a large sphere of air that traps Futaba's enemies in with her. It cannot be broken from the outside, so it's pretty much a guaranteed win considering how strong Futaba is. Futaba can also create balls out of Aiki, capable of trapping people and objects within them, as well as control their strength. These bubbles are also stated to be impossible to break from the inside. See, the thing is, usually in these videos I would give examples of some type of limit to these abilities, or times where these abilities were overpowered or nullified in some way, but that's just not how things work in Mission Yozakura family. The entire family is broken beyond belief compared to most other things in the manga, especially Kyoichiro and Futaba. It's like how in Devil May Cry you look at Dante and Virgil and just wonder what the hell anyone is supposed to do about that. This is like getting to write a video about a family full of Benimarus, and it's kind of throwing me off, but I love it. Getting back on track, Futaba's blooming is called Magnanimity. This blooming increases Futaba's kinetic vision, and instead of being able to just redirect attacks and forces, she can just straight up neutralize and absorb them entirely. This works on anything from physical strikes and gases to even massive explosions. She can even neutralize damage that's being done on a cellular level. When Futaba was fighting Akai, she neutralized the damage to the cells that were burning due to her own abilities. If I was fighting Futaba and everything I threw at her either didn't land or was just absorbed, I personally would cry. Fighting Futaba isn't even smashing your head against a brick wall, it's more like headbutting wind and having it blow back at you with double the force. The craziest thing is, we're not even done yet, we still have her true spring blooming to go over. Futaba's true spring blooming is called Rejection. Instead of absorbing and nullifying attacks, she can now completely repulse anything that acts against her Aiki energy. This includes shattering a giant meteor and even cancelling out the force of gravity itself. Real insane shit. Shinzo Yozakura, third eldest child and also a gold rank spy. While his appearance may lead you to believe that he might be a brawler of sorts, which could technically be true, Shinzo is a lot more versatile than what his appearance alone gives off. Shinzo is a weapons specialist, adept at using a plethora of different weapons. Near the beginning of the series, Shinzo can be seen using a weapon called Tank Number 3. This tank that looks like a trash can is equipped with a wide variety of weapons like axes or flamethrowers. Hell, whatever he's using doesn't even have to be a weapon itself. He can use anything he's familiar with as a weapon. He once threw a fork so accurately and hard that it shattered a gun's barrel. Shinzo is especially skilled with firearms, which have different bullet types for different uses. For example, he has knockout bullets capable of knocking someone out for an entire day, as well as a gun called Spring Thunder, which shoots an extremely powerful blast of electricity. Shinzo's main weapon is called Yukon Gold Turmeric. This is essentially a weapon made out of dozens of different metals and alloys, which can fluidly change its own shape to create any weapon the user wants, such as a giant hammer or even a giant pair of scissors. Usually this would be difficult to control, but Shinzo's mastery over weapons makes it easy for him to handle. Shinzo's blooming is called Destroy. Enhancing his natural analytical abilities, Shinzo becomes able to analyze and see through any attack and destroy it by spotting his enemy's weaknesses. He can even destroy cells themselves to negate powers like regeneration, and was able to destroy flames with the ability to corrode anything they touch just by punching them. Basically, no matter what it is, Shinzo will see through it and destroy it. Shinzo's true spring blooming is one of the more straightforward ones. Contrasting destruction, we now have regeneration. By pumping Someinine into whatever he attacks, he restores it completely. This ability can heal ailments and defects, and it also works on both organic and non-organic materials. Shion Yozakura, one of the middle siblings, silver rank spy, and my personal favorite character. Shion is the least physically capable of the family, receiving almost no physical benefits from having Someinine other than augmented metabolism and energy consumption. Instead, she is the family's hacker and overall technology specialist. Her main method of hacking is done through video games. Shion is able to hack into enemy operating systems and convert them into games. Clearing the game means she has successfully taken out her opponent. The harder the system is to crack, the harder and more intense the game will be. Shion's main pieces of equipment are her drones, which are capable of using steel spider threads as nets, as well as carrying people. Post time skip, these drones have been upgraded and they now have a number of different capabilities, such as creating holograms of herself and other people, producing force fields, and even releasing sleeping gas. She also designed a wearable supercomputer that she uses post time skip. Shion's blooming is analyzation. This allows her brain to read and understand data at speeds comparable to that of a supercomputer, and lets her hack and destroy powerful enemy systems as long as she has enough energy. Shion's true spring blooming is chaos. While using this ability, she spreads Someinine particles through the area, and this allows her to cause all physical matter and even cells to glitch out uncontrollably, throwing everything around her into absolute chaos, like release day Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This glitching takes form in many different ways, from being able to clip through objects, increasing something's speed stat rendering it uncontrollable, real life lag, and even Shion being able to replicate herself. Kengo Yozakura, the other middle child and a silver rank spy. Kengo is another one of the family's less physically capable members, although not to the same extent as Shion. Kengo specializes in infiltration and disguises. He is considered to be a master of disguise, having the skills to become anyone physically and even copy their voice. For example, when he first took his spy license exam at 7 years old, he not only participated as himself, but also 2 other people at the same time without getting caught, and passed all 3 times. Kengo's main piece of equipment are his complete replica dolls. These are mainly used as distractions, but can also create small explosions, as well as be disguised as other people, like when he created replicas of himself and Shion. He can even combine 1,000 of them to create one giant Kengo that has enough strength to completely blow out the side of a ship. Post time skip, Kengo has trained his body to the point where it's completely malleable, increasing his overall ability to disguise himself, as well as giving him the ability to just turn into inanimate objects like chairs. Kengo's blooming is called assimilation. Enhancing Kengo's natural ability to empathize with people, he is able to enter their mind and view his target's memories, as well as share his own. He can even find out information about his opponents, such as their height, weight, various bodily features, and of course, their past. His true spring blooming is Vainglory, one of my personal favorites because of how absurdly cool it is. With Vainglory, Kengo becomes able to copy the cellular makeup of anything. This happens because his brain cells already have the ability to produce signals that mimic other phenomena, and when amplified by Someinine, his body becomes able to morph entirely. Vainglory allows Kengo to take on a plethora of different forms, giving him the rigidity of rocks, fluidity of water, and even the ability to become diamond itself. This also gives him the ability to use attacks based on whatever form his body has taken. For example, he can shoot water bullets and also use paralyzing jolts of electricity. Alright, here we are finally at the main character, Taiyo Asano. Taiyo is the only character who started out as a regular human. Upon marrying Mutsumi, he underwent spy training from the rest of the family that increases physical capabilities and senses to that of a superhuman, having to do tasks such as getting through the Yozakura mansion's various traps. Like the rest of the family, Taiyo also possesses an immunity to poisons due to his conditioning as a spy. Pre-time skip, Taiyo becomes a silver rank spy, and post-time skip, it's shown that he eventually achieves gold rank like Kyoichiro, Futaba, and Shinzo. Taiyo's main weapon is the Yai, an extremely powerful stun gun that has multiple forms. In its base form, Yai shoots out a jolt of electricity capable of stunning enemies, as well as a few other similar uses. Yai's second form, Rain, turns the gun into an electric katana with the ability to create full-on lightning strikes. Yai's third and final form is called First Yai, Clear Sky. It is a more powerful variant of the original gun, capable of more powerful attacks like the Thunderclap. Due to certain circumstances, Taiyo was given Mutsumi's blood and thus has the powers of a member of the Yozakura family. Further enhanced strength, speed, senses, and all other benefits of Someinine, including a blooming. Taiyo's blooming is a rather simple one, hardening. Stemming from his desire to always protect Mutsumi, Taiyo is able to harden parts of his body, greatly increasing his defense. Post-time skip, Taiyo has mastered this ability to the point where he's turned his entire body into a weapon, as hardening not only strengthens his defense, but also his offense. Due to other circumstances, Taiyo also receives the blood of Tsubomi Yozakura, the first head of the family. Tsubomi's blood is extremely strong, giving Taiyo access to a power called the Profuse Blooming of 10,000 Flowers. This blooming is ridiculously strong, but it comes with the cost of having adverse effects on the user's body, draining its energy and harming it at an increased rate, seen through the Yozakura flowers that bloom from the user's body. Taiyo eventually learns how to use the profuse blooming in short bursts, mitigating its increased energy drain while being able to utilize its increase in power. Taiyo's true spring blooming, if you didn't guess already, is softening. Taiyo is now able to soften parts of his body, negating the impact of any attack he takes to the point where they're described as being wrapped in cotton. This also decreases the strain that hardening had on Taiyo's body, letting him be more flexible with the ability than he originally was. Taiyo's true spring blooming should have a time limit of 3 minutes, but due to the blood of Tsubomi and Mutsumi building up in his heart in conjunction with hardening, he now essentially has a family head's heart and can stay in his true spring blooming for much longer. Mutsumi Yozakura, the head of the 10th generation of the Yozakura family. The thing about family heads is that they don't actually gain any of the rest of the family's superhuman abilities. The trade-off for this is that they have the ability to birth superhumans. As I said in the beginning of the video, the heart of the family head is so rich in Someinine that it's practically made of it. Family heads can also choose one and only one person to share their blood with, usually always being their husband, giving them the powers of the Yozakura family, like Mutsumi did for Taiyo, Rei did for Momo, and so on and so forth. Nanao Yozakura, the youngest sibling of the 10th generation and also a silver rank spy. Nanao's specialty lies in his extreme knowledge in medicine and all things biological science. Having experimented on himself so much, he can no longer easily maintain his body's normal form, causing him to appear in this big form most of the time. However, this experimentation has given Nanao a host of other abilities, such as a decently strong healing factor, and the ability to emit various gases, including poison gas, relaxing gas, and even paralyzing gas. Post time skip, Nanao can completely transform his body into slime and create creatures called Nanao slimes. These slimes are made when Nanao's white blood cells go berserk. They can seemingly act automatically and are practically ruthless against intruders. In his slime form, Nanao is also capable of fully analyzing the physical traits of someone's body, as well as the status of their health. Nanao was also able to completely fuse his nervous system with a building, becoming one with it to the extent where it was difficult for him to break free. Nanao's blooming is adaptation. Adaptation increases Nanao's ability to mutate exponentially. This allows him to adapt to any substance or environment that he could possibly be exposed to in a matter of seconds. His true spring blooming is regression. When using his true spring blooming, Nanao's cells will start to divide and regress to a previous state. Anything they touch will also start regressing, allowing Nanao to see its memories and how it evolved. Getting into the home stretch, we have Alpha Yozakura, the younger twin child of Taiyo and Mutsumi. What makes Alpha and Hifumi special is that they're the only twins to ever be born in the Yozakura family. Furthermore, they both have the traits of a family head while also possessing the superhuman abilities that normal members have. For Alpha, instead of having a Someinine heart, it's his brain that's rich in the protein. His brain being pretty much pure energy can lead to some adverse effects when stressed or overstimulated in general, with the most prominent being Bad Alpha. Bad Alpha is an alternate personality, most identifiable by the spiral design that his eyes take. Bad Alpha seems to be smarter, more calculated, and more logical than regular Alpha, which makes him act in ways and do things that he normally wouldn't, like defying and even fighting family members. Bad Alpha also puts a large amount of strain on Alpha's body, which leaves Alpha sick after leaving the state. Between the twins, Alpha is the more intelligent one. While both were able to walk and talk at just 1 month old, Alpha was shown to be capable of reading and went on to be the top student in the nation at the age of 4. He's also slated to have published theses and is able to invent patented devices. Alpha's main piece of equipment is the Alpha Watch, which was made by Shinzo and designed by Kyoichiro. It has similar shape-shifting properties to Yukon Gold Turmeric, so it has a good bit of versatility. Alpha mainly uses the Alpha Watch in one of 3 forms: Knight, a mechanical arm that can be used to grab things and also turn into a shield; Rook, an electricity cannon similar to the Yai; and Bishop, a bladed arm. It should be noted that Bad Alpha used Rook to electrically overstimulate his brain and give himself control over his own hormones. This allowed him to speed up his body's maturation process and temporarily take an adult form. It's in this form where Alpha first awakened to his blooming, which is precognition. With this blooming, Alpha can see various futures. The closer the future is to happening, the more accurate his visions are. These futures can be changed by Alpha's own actions, however, so nothing he sees is completely set in stone. And finally, last but certainly not least, we have Hifumi Yozakura, the oldest twin child of Taiyo and Mutsumi. Like Alpha, Hifumi has the traits of a family head while also retaining the Yozakura family's superhuman abilities. However, Hifumi has the usual Someinine heart. Contrasting Alpha's intelligence, Hifumi is more physically capable and excels in combat situations. Hifumi's main weapon is her Hifumi yo-yo. This is a yo-yo made out of a special Yozakura family metal and Kyoichiro's steel spider threads. All of Hifumi's yo-yo techniques are named after onomatopoeia, like zwing. It's not really that important, but I just find it adorable. Hifumi is an incredibly talented fighter, as she was somewhat able to copy Futaba's ability to use Aiki and made her own version of the Aiki ball called the Hifumi ball by coating her yo-yo threads with Aiki. Hifumi's yo-yo and the Alpha Watch are able to combine in order to launch a combo attack called Hack. At least I think that's how it's said. By charging the yo-yo with Rook's electricity, it'll release a ridiculously powerful blast of energy. Speaking of energy, Hifumi's blooming is infinity. When using her blooming, Hifumi has access to a practically infinite ball of pure Someinine energy, and it can be used for various different things. Even when it's being corroded, its power will continue to grow, as it's said to be an endless fountain of energy by Kyoichiro. Hifumi is shown to be capable of using her blooming to amplify her own voice and incapacitate people with sound waves. And that's it. Every single Yozakura sibling explained to 90% of my ability. This video is long as hell, much longer than I anticipated it to be, so thanks for sticking through if you made it to the end. That's it for this one, and thanks for watching.
Lately I'm feeling so cool. Yeah, come and get a taste of the hip soul food. Spice up the animal when Neo haiku while Soul goes to school way / kung fu.